Welcome everyone to the monthly district advisor update meeting. Go ahead and put in the chat, like we usually do, who you are, where you're from. Yeah, I think the audio is coming through. Bev.
I can hear you,
Max. Okay, yeah, we'll say you can unmute yourself if you want to say anything. All right, let's get started. So just a reminder about collection windows. We are in the fall collection window as well as the 1819 follow-up collection window. As much as possible, the data that is part of the follow-up collection should hopefully stay in good shape in your 1819 database. You can go look at advisor validation and see what your reports and what your errors are saying, because those run off of live data. So there's some vendors that it's kind of difficult to edit your 1819 data, so we're trying to work with them. In some cases, you may have to talk to your vendor, like if you know you need someone from 1819 that you need to exit now in the 1819 school year, if that's possible, then or if that's needed, then you may have to talk to your vendor about it. So please keep looking at that data as well. If you look at our advisor calendar, that'll tell you what's in the follow-up collection. It's our usual stuff, your summer transfers, exits, and entrances. The special ed programs, Title I programs for students that started in the summer. Then we had some extra data this year because of just some of the issues we ran into last year. So we're including course data, grades data, and 1819 discipline data in the follow-up for this year. So definitely keep publishing that, keep looking into that. I guess one thing I forgot to mention here, I hope everyone saw the bulletin. We are officially not collecting summer school grades anymore, summer school courses and grades. You still have to submit some of the summer school CDC collections, and obviously you still submit to us all your summer transfers, that kind of stuff. But summer school data is officially off of the list now. So thank you to Pam Taggart for leading the effort on getting rid of some data. All right, advisor validation website, 1920 is live. I hope you know that. A lot of you may have already been to work days where you are using it. We try to really focus on getting all the fall errors and fall reports running, the student lookup and the enrollment lookup. I think we've got all this stuff for fall, but we're still kind of looking at it. There's still some year-end reports, errors and stuff that we just haven't had the time to work on yet, so things like attendance, courses, but we will be following up on those soon. As of yesterday, there are some new reports you may want to check out, the membership comparison and FRL comparison, or food program comparison. that these are reports we used to have in NSSRS, but we created them this year, so they look at this year's numbers compared to last year's numbers. So they look at basically your current as of October 1st data versus last year's October 1st data that was in the locked fall snapshot. So there's some new errors that should be going out tomorrow, probably with the bulletin tomorrow. So these are mostly just things that we've come across with some of our testing, things we've run into, or just things required by the new school year. One will be special education program hours not reported. That could be either the special ed hours per week or the school hours per week field. We generally expect both of those in order to generate a special ed percentage. I think school hours per week could be 0, but there'll be a new one for calendar dates outside of the school year. That shouldn't really happen, but I've seen some of that, most likely caused by your SIS vendor. Probably not a big deal. New error for students in fall membership at multiple districts. Now, we kind of have some existing errors about FTE, students adding up to over 100 and where multiple districts are sharing them. But this error will specifically say that this student is being counted in membership at multiple districts. They were over at least 51% at 2 districts on October 1st. So just another one of those where we can't say which one's wrong. You will probably have to work with the other districts if you get that error. Student reported with 0% FTE is a new error I'm expecting. I'm not sure if there are legitimate reasons for this. I'd definitely like to hear if anyone had feedback for this.
Max, can you hear me?
Yep.
This is Becky from Lincoln. We send all of our program and concurrent records with 0 FTE because we had a whole mess that we had discussions about.
Yeah.
Are those okay?
When I say yeah, if you're sending us concurrent enrollments at your own district, generally we add those together under whatever the reporting school is and add up the FTE. So if your records combined still add up to 0, then that's a problem. But if one record's 100 and one record's 0, or one record's 50 and the other record's 50, we'll still add them up to 100. Good point, though.
Max, this is Anna,
Yep.
ESU3. Isn't the FTE 0 if they're contracted out?
That could be true.
I think that's
Okay. Yeah, we can check. Write that down. We can check for that. All right. Thank you. That would be helpful. All right. Another error that's new this year because of how we're doing resident school and district. Since now we're collecting a full district code and a full school code for the resident school. It should never happen, but you could technically upload something saying this student belongs in District A, that they live in District A, that's their resident district, but their resident school, the school boundaries where they live, is in your district, which doesn't make any sense. So likely that's a vendor issue if that happens. or you're reporting a resident school when you really don't need to. I think resident school is only required for contracted in, or one of those. I think so. Yeah, well, just for one residency status, so you can leave resident school blank otherwise. So I'll verify on what residency codes that goes with as well. But so yeah, those errors I'm hoping to code up by the end of the day tomorrow. And just like last year, we should be opening the district administrator sign-off page on October 15th. But the sign-off basically works like it did last year. It is just a way to mark that your district administrator has approved. All right. Yeah, Anna was asking about the school hours per week being 0. I need to confirm that. Actually, we're going to talk about that later today, Anna. So we may end up tweaking the data elements and putting that out just to really verify really confirm what should be going into that school hours per week field. So I will get back to you on that. Person ID, just same as last time, just noting that we did push the release date back to November 1st, because our unique ID is only supposed to run through the end of October. So that will definitely be the deployment date. We'll be bringing unique ID down on November 1st and for part of the day, and getting the new system set up and getting all the data, all the IDs and ID history brought over from the old system to the new system. The new system will work with the same old unique ID file format, but we'll also offer a new file format that's kind of simpler, and you could use either. And we should be getting some documentation out, before the 1st, obviously. So hopefully within like the next week. All right, vendor updates. Here's the news I know a lot of you are waiting for. TestWiz is certified for rostering. I know they're testing with some districts now. I'm not sure that they've rolled it out statewide yet. And they're also working on certification for sending assessment results data into Advisor. At Synergy, they've been certified. EduStar is not certified yet. They are working on it now. I've talked to a few people at the company, so they're aware it's an urgent issue. They're really hoping they should be ready to certify probably within the next week. Infinite Campus has just certified earlier this week. They still have to put out that final update that will enable the 1920 school year syncing. So they are going through the process to deploy that now. It should be ready probably in the next few days, I'm guessing. And when it is out, CIT will definitely let all of you know. They are offering some workday sessions. I guess I saw Michelle on here. Anything else you want to say about Infinite Campus?
Yeah, Max, it's John. They're in integration testing all day today, and anticipate that going well. So tonight, they'll be putting the release package together. Earliest target for release date is our tomorrow late afternoon for it to be available. That way the cloud-hosted customers will get it for sure this weekend. And yeah, and for those campus folks on the call, we'll sure be communicating as we hear, and would like to target even a couple of statewide meetings early next week to help people walk through getting started.
Yep. So as for the 10/15 due date, nothing from DRE really happens at 10/15, but some of the other teams at NDE might be expecting to see data right after 10/15. So we, DRE, will be talking to some of the other NDE teams. We'll kind of let them know what's going on with some of the vendors that were late certified. I'm assuming that won't be a big problem, but I guess we have yet to talk to everyone about it. JMC certified. Our school basically certified for fall. They still have some like programs and stuff for end of year that are not publishing yet. There's one more Power School update planned, I think, for October 10th to be released. That fixes an issue with special ed hours. But Amy, do you have any comments on that?
Amy says yes.
Okay. Anyway, there might be a few other little fixes in there as well, but generally Power School's publishing. GMC's been certified, STEM's been certified. SRS is now certified. They are starting to publish data. They've tested one district yesterday, and I think they have more data publishing today, if not everyone. I think Scott described it as they were publishing the majority of the data today, and then they'll be publishing special case students separately before the end of this week, I think. So I don't know if Scott or Wade were on. If you guys wanted to comment on anything, please stop by.
We're on track with what you said there. We've started publishing. Basically, we expect to have all districts' basic data published today, and then, like you said, there may be some special cases that come over the next few days.
Yep. All right. So things are moving along. Yeah, it's definitely. We know that things have definitely gone later than we wanted. But I'm really hoping we're still kind of on track for getting everyone's data finished by October 31st. That's not the case, though. We will definitely discuss if we we'll discuss if that is something we would consider a late request for. I guess I can't guarantee you right now that will happen, but.
Max, this is Jill, and some of us do have a meeting tomorrow, and the due dates are on the agenda. Like you said, right now there's no plans to change the dates, but if there is anything does change, that we'll communicate it. But right now, the plan will be that the data is due the 31st. Well, the audit window closes the 31st. We will discuss things like request to submit data late and make data changes at that meeting we're having tomorrow, and the possibility of what would count for that. So we'll have some more information coming up later, and we'll be able to maybe push it out in the bulletin tomorrow if there is anything coming out about that.
Okay. So yeah, everyone keep an eye on the bulletin like usual. A lot of stuff going on right now. I think that's everything I need to cover, but please let me know in the chat. Is there anything else we need to talk about? Anything else I'm forgetting? Otherwise, the next meeting is scheduled for November 13th.
Max?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think someone just asked this in the chat, but it sounds like from what Scott said, they'll send all initial data to SRS today, but then from there, is there still a process where they need to turn that on in there?
Scott?
We are going with the settings that were in place at the end of last school year as far as publishing. So if that is activated there, then it will be activated for this year, unless a district wants to make a change to that. And I also see a question there about resyncing or pushing data. So we will have kind of concurrent with this. That's, I think, expected today, an update to our user interface that's going to have the report and controls there like you had before to republish a record or delete a record or those kinds of things if there was a problem with it. So those will be coming up momentarily. And yes, it is possible that we can turn off this year's publishing if that's something that someone wants to do.
So yeah, if Kim needs you, can Kim do that in SRS, or does she need to send you guys a ticket?
Right now, it would be better to send a ticket before that that interface changes up, and we can make sure that that happens.
Can I, Kim, send an email into the SRS helpline?
This is Cheryl from Beatrice. And how will we hopefully in the future get away from the scramble that we're facing this year? I know there are a lot of updates and those kind of things, but this waiting is just very frustrating for us districts. So are we going to be assured that this won't happen again and we're going to be on such a short deadline like we are now? It's just really, really frustrating.
Yeah, and Cheryl, this is Jill. I recognize everyone's frustration with this. I will say, fortunately or unfortunately, the way you want to take it, this was a major change to the data standard, which has meant a lot more work on the part of the vendors to get these changes implemented. This kind of major change will not happen again for at least 2 or 3 years, which will definitely make it easier. In addition, by the time the next major change rolls out, both the vendors and we here at NDE are going to be much more prepared for going through that. Going through a major change in only your second year of production is difficult. So I expect that this is extraordinary. I don't expect this to happen again next year.
Okay, just so the state Go ahead.
Oh, this is Anna, ESU 3, and speaking as a vendor, it wasn't just the vendors caught unawares. I mean, I think NDE struggled themselves getting last year closed out and getting this year going. I mean, it's very hard to close out your first year of programming, take on a major change. That said, I would like, as a vendor, would like to say that NDE has to have their ducks in a line and ready to go by June 1st so that vendors can start getting certified on July 1st.
Absolutely.
And Anna, I can tell you that right now the timeline we were putting together for next year will actually be even be earlier than that. We hope to be certifying before, or the ability for vendors to certify before July 1st of next year. So
yeah, I think for a lot of vendors it would take more, I guess with the big change this year, it's taken some vendors longer than a month to do that. So we'll definitely plan on a bigger gap than just June to July. But yeah, I mean, we've with the same people working on closing out last year, the same people setting up this year, and so we're still a little behind, as you can tell. But at some point here, we will finally really finish out all our infrastructure and kind of get back up to that level near the level we were with NSSRS validation. So
I just hope you take that into consideration, that if when October 31st comes and we're still struggling and then we have to put in a request for late data, I hope, like Jill said, if you're going to discuss that, I hope that there's going to be an easier process, and that, because I think this year there's going to be a lot of us that are going to have corrections, since we can't even start syncing till now, or not. I don't know. I'm just frustrated.
yeah, I mean, I expect we'll still have a process where you put in a request to change your data, just because we want to have some documentation of it. Anything else going on to discuss?
This is back kind of to the SRS and starting to send today. So I know majority of our folks are seeing lots of errors in advisor validation. Will those kind of disappear right away today? Will it take the overnight? I'm just trying to anticipate questions, because I'm going to send something out to folks here pretty soon.
Well, first you have to verify that your SRS data is actually published. I'm not sure if that already happened overnight for PeopleScout, or otherwise users in SRS can always go look at their publishing screen, verify that it has published. After that happens, then it's just like normal with any changes in advisor validation. The errors either run overnight, or you can go hit the button and force them to reprocess. And if the data had published, then it would clear away at that time.
I would agree with that. I would expect most of those related errors, if the data was missing from SRS or that kind of thing, to clear overnight tonight on the track that we're on. We published a small number of districts yesterday and last night, and we're at that was about 36, and we have the rest of them. So far, we have about 210 districts that have indicated they want to publish data from SRS, and so we expect to finish the rest of those today, and then that would cause those validations, if without intervention, to run overnight, and then those errors would largely clear up then in that case. We'd be glad to talk more in detail or about cases that come up or questions that you all have. We'll be here to help with those.
All right, anyone else? Alrighty, I think that's it for this month. Please join again in November on the 13th, and keep an eye out on the bulletin. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thanks. Thanks, Max.
Thanks.
Thank you.